Hey, good evening. Good Friday evening to you guys. TGIF. How the hell is everyone? It's good to see you. It's good to be here. We have got a great show lined up this evening. We're going to talk about Greyhawk. We're going to do some more Let's Play and let's read along with the World of Greyhawk supplement. We got mailbox or mail call and whatever you guys want to talk about because it's open Friday. How the heck is everyone? It's good to see you all. Good to see you all. Welcome, Mobius, Tally, Vincent, Damien, Rich Denver. All hail the Bards of Greyhawk. Which, I wonder, have you guys ever done a song about the Gellers, the original Bards of Greyhawk? Lord Corion, Doomsword Deathmaster, and all the ships at sea. It's good to see you all. I've got YouTube bitching at me that the audio bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Can you guys hear me okay? Hope nobody's having any problems hearing me. I suspect you would have said something. At the very least, let me know. But anyway. So, what's everybody drinking tonight? This is my secret shame, just based on the name. Based on the taste, it's fantastic. I'm not going to pull up the desktop cam for this. The name of it is Cider Boys, and this is Grand Mimosa. This is an apple and orange cider. Yes, it's alcoholic. This is pretty much the best tasting alcoholic beverage I have ever had that wasn't Lindemann's. So I have this absolutely delicious cider that I'm going to try out here. Not try out, that I'm going to be nursing on. I'm not going to gulp this. I'm not going to glug this. I'm not going to pound it down. You're not going to see me go through a 6-pack of it, but I'm going to sip it. I'm going to enjoy it. It's a seasonal from Cider Boys. And by the way, they are in Wisconsin. Wisconsin represent. Diet Dr. Pepper and Jim Beam Apple as a chaser. I can't do diet drinks. The bitterness, man. The aspartame and stuff like that. But anyway. Yeah, it's good to be here. You know what? We're just gonna jump straight into it. I want to mention one thing, and this might be a big question mark for you guys. The Led Zeppelin shirt. Yeah, I wore it earlier this week, but it has been washed. It has been through the laundry. And yes, even though I'm a long-haired fat beard, I am not a smelly long-haired fat beard. You might stand next to me at a convention or gaming event at a store and say, man, that's a long-haired fat beard. But, and I want to emphasize this, I do not smell. I wash my clothes. I do not recycle them. So anyway, just wanted to address the elephant in the room. That is my massive gut. Moving right along. Speaking of addressing things, look, I don't really want to get into the whys and wherefores. I think things that are happening with TSR 3 right now are ongoing and dynamic. Some people have asked me if I'll talk about it, if I'll report on it. Not yet. Not until I feel like there's something to talk about. I have heard nothing yet. So at such time as that might be appropriate, we will proceed apace. And that's all I'm going to say. Let's talk about positive things. No showers equals no charisma rolls in game. You got it. Let's get right to it. I have done mail call on the show before when folks have contributed things. Sometimes it's a little loosey-goosey, like, what constitutes a mail call. Like, I got this copy of Knight Errant the other day up at Gods and Monsters. Todd didn't mail this to me, and it wasn't a gift. It wasn't free. I actually spent money for this. But every once in a while, I get an actual, honest-to-goodness, bona fide mail call. So when one of the viewers reached out to me a couple of days ago and said, "Hey, I've got something. Do you want it?" I said, "Sure, absolutely, send it on." And then he said, "I've sent it, and I've sent a couple of things that you probably already have, but I figured you could use extras." So I was kind of scratching my head. I was thinking maybe a pad of character sheets, a copy of Keep on the Borderlands, an Isle of Dread. Didn't know. But what he said he would send me, and I will tell you, his name is Bill, and no, I'm not being cryptic in saying I went out and bought something for myself. Ha ha ha. He sent this to me, and because we had a discussion here, and I don't. Like, there are many times, like Paul Stormberg, I'm sorry, I'm wandering all over the road. Maybe I shouldn't have had anything to drink. Paul Stormberg sent a ton of swag, of Rob Kuntz's stuff to the show. And I mean, how friggin' cool. How friggin' cool. And so I featured it, and I said, "Hey, Paul sent this in." And my buddy Jeff sent something. But occasionally, you guys out there in the audience right now, you will send stuff in. I don't know that you want your name said on the air. I don't know that you want to get doxxed, so to speak. So I will say it is a viewer of the stream who is here now, watching the live stream, I believe. Original Tomb of Horror just pops up in the mail. Would be nice. Now, I'll address that in just a second. But anyway, he said, because I had been gushing on about Holmes Dice, and he said, "Hey, I'll send you a fresh Holmes D6," and he did, and I'll put that up on Still Store here. Let's see, where is it? There we go. I need one of those streaming boxes. But anyway, I got this lovely Holmes D6. Look at that. Looks like a nice chunk of fruit from a fruit cocktail. Like you could just eat that and not a nearly 50-year-old die from TSR. And I thought that was really, really nice of him. And he said, "I've got another spare one I'm going to throw in there for you." And so I got this absolutely gorgeous D4 ready to destroy the bottom of my foot. Again, really great. So the package arrived today. And it came with this note. And it says, "Hey, Bill, I hope you don't mind me including a couple of other things. I also had a D4 included, and we'll get to the next part. The other items were given to me as part of a purchase, so I'm giving them to you in hopes that you'll find them useful. I have other copies, and you probably do too, but you never know. And then they say, apologies for their condition, which is just like, never apologize for the condition of a D&D book unless you set out to make it be as horrible as possible. So I open up this box, and it was a box, and I'm not going to do an unboxing on screen of it. Just it was very well packed. It took me a while to get unwrapped. And what do I see in the box? What do I see in the box? Supplement to Blackmore, which, yes, we're going to cover that on there. Not tonight, but soon. And this careworn copy of Supplement 1, Greyhawk. What can I really say about this? And he's right. I do have copies of Supplement 1 and Supplement 2 with my AD&D set. He's not wrong. And he says, thanks for the time and effort you put into this. I have some pretty special fans on this show. I value everything, every gift, every note of encouragement you guys have sent in. Bards of Greyhawk sent me some of their swag and a 3D analographic glasses using Betty Page comic that I can't show. And I'm floored by everyone's support. I mean, it just blows me away that you guys would do this, that you would do these kinds of things. So I have a careworn lizard logo, Supplement 1 that has some art on it there. The added blood, yeah, that's blood on the guy's sword, and looks like he ganked the beholder in the eye and mouth a little bit there. I don't know if that'll still show up from this. Yeah, kind of. So the reason I don't want to just blurt this out as to the name of the person who sent it, is like, again, I don't want to dox that person. I don't want that person. I don't want anybody, any fans of the show, to ever start get like, hey, you sent Bill Sylvie a rare original D&D book. You got any more of those? No? You suck. I don't want that coming down on people. But my God, you know, these will hold a place of honor on my bookshelf for sure. And as far as the condition of them, guys, I've said it 1,000 times. I'm not a collector. I'm a gamer. Having another copy of Greyhawk at the table, if I chance to play original D&D here at the house, just makes it easier for my players. This is one of now many copies of Greyhawk I've got. And same with Blackmore, you know. I don't mind. There's stories here. You know, a little bit of stain on the cover. Did somebody tell a funny joke and somebody spit up on it, or, you know, dude pounded the table angrily and Coke or Dr. Pepper splashed on it? Little idle doodle down here in the corner somebody drew while they were bored and waiting on their turn at the table. So these are pretty darn special, and I thank the person who donated. I will never forget you thank you so much for donating these to the show. It's a couple of nice play copies, and I just I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. So that's the mail call, and I got this wonderful letter, and it kills me, apologies for their condition. I mean, you did the equivalent of parking a vintage Corvette in front of my yard, and it's got some faded paint and a split in the leather, but it like runs perfectly. Please do not. Yeah, and there aren't missing pages. The Greyhawk is in about the same condition as my other Lizard logo Greyhawk. Rusty Staples loose cover. So, Extra Crispy asks, did I make it to the toy store for Battle System? I did not. I was busy all day. Had to take my puppy to the vet. Everything's fine. He's okay. Just a normal checkup for a doggy his age. He's 10, 11 now, so had to go and let him have a look there. Let's see. Dice popped all the bubble wrap. Anyway, so Vinny mentioned up in the chat, he said, original Tomb of Horrors just pops up in the mail would be nice. Okay, so do you mean original Tomb of Horrors as featured in Art and Arcana, the boxed set? Or do you mean an original Tomb of Horrors, a pastel copy of S1, the monochrome covers? Or do you mean an original Tomb of Horrors, just a first edition as published by TSR at some point during its lengthy print run, and not Return to the Tomb of Horrors for second edition, or Return to the Tomb of Horrors for third edition, or when they dropped the returns and just made it Tomb of Horrors, but it's like a city of horrors and the tomb is just a little tiny piece of it in fourth edition, or Tomb of Horrors and Tales from the Yawning Portal. There are many categories of Tomb of Horrors. So I don't lie when I say, and let me clarify something, because this is just like the Patreon thing, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, the show has a Patreon for as little as $1 a month. If you want, you can contribute to the show. Right there. I put it in the chat. Oops. No, I did not. I put it in the chat. There I did. The Tomb of Horrors that was available for the AD&D booklets. Okay, Vinny, so there was no Tomb of Horrors published for original Dungeons and Dragons. Gary had a manuscript that was intended to be published, but they never found the time to publish it. It's the one that Tracy Lesh did all the illustrations for, but is now available in Art and Arcana. You really should buy that set. If you're in around the Orlando area, go buy it from Gods and Monsters. Otherwise, get it from your own FLGS. And if they don't have it, and they won't order it, but odds are they probably will, then get it from an online shop. And I'm not even saying Amazon. I mean, I just said Amazon. I'm not suggesting you get it from Amazon. Support game stores, not Amazon. Amazon doesn't give a shit about our hobby. Don't forget that. Anyway, Extra Crisp, I did not make it to the toy store and pick up the battle system, AD&D battle system, which is a mass combat system that, well, it basically, unless you were using swords and spells, you had no mass combat system for AD&D. And if you were using swords and spells, battle system supplanted and replaced AD&D. Let's see. Doomsword says, I didn't buy the set. I did buy the book, and it's quite good, particularly the early parts. Yes. I have sat on the fence about getting another copy of Art and Arcana, specifically the version that they sell at almost at Borders, at Barnes and Nobles, because it is a Barnes and Noble exclusive, and apparently there are some different art plates in it, or some art plates are presented it has something in it, and I get pulled into FOMO all the time. So I might pick a copy up there. I don't know. Oh, Tomb of Annihilation. Yeah, I don't really know. Anyway, let's see. What's the Arcana? Oh, Art and Arcana. Dungeons and Dragons Art and Arcana. But you found it, Tally. I do highly recommend the boxed set version, though. But anyway, do I? Oh, there they are. Just moving my dice over. I have a very narrow space here between the edge of the table and the monitors. It's extremely easy for me to knock stuff over, particularly when it gets crowded with books. So the sequel is called Tomb of Annihilation, and Tomb of... Yeah, okay. I thought Tomb of Horrors was in Tales from the Yawning Portal. I thought it was. I thought that was the case. So, needless to say, to quote Ice Cube, it was a good day. I'm very happy about that. Now, again, and as always, guys, you don't have to send me stuff. You don't have to support me on Patreon. But if you want to, that's fine. I always appreciate what you guys... The fact that you're on the other side of the screen listening to me rant and tell real groaners of puns and talk about Dungeons and Dragons and other classic role-playing games... Honestly, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, The Game Wizards by John Peterson. Yeah, there's quite a few books that I'm interested in seeing. Ah, look, the neighborhood spammer is back. We'll just remove that. And we'll just hide them. So they can yell into the void. You know, at this point, when it comes to spam bots that hop on chats and posting comments and stuff, I gotta believe that there's just legacy servers out there that are just set up and doing it, that nobody actually clicks. Not even like your grandpa and grandma who can get phished much more easily by like getting bank alerts in their email and stuff. Everybody knows spam bots. Everybody knows. Stop trying to fool us. It's not going to work. Greetings, my one viewer over on Facebook. Don't be shy. Speak up. I talk to the folks on Facebook too. So we got a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline. I talked last night. This kind of just sort of came in just as a spur of the moment thing, but I think it's actually going to happen. At least I really want it to happen. So, as I've mentioned before, I'm big fans of Bards of Greyhawk. If you guys like the intro, that's my buddies Justin and Rich. Oh, I did it again. Jeremy and Rich for Bards of Greyhawk. Could you just tell him to change his name to Justin? It'd be a lot easier on me. Thank you, Rich. But anyway, Jeremy and Rich over at Bards of Greyhawk. They are a first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons tribute rock band. And honestly, could you ask for anything better? I don't think you could. But they have recently recorded an ode to the Ghost Tower of Inverness, which is a great module written by Alan Hammock. And in was it 2019 or 2020? Rich, you'll have to speak up and let us know. They originally planned to have Alan Hammock come in and be in the video for the song, and then it didn't work out. And then I was talking about Alan. I played some of Bards of Greyhawk's music and so on and etc. And Rich was like, by God, we're going to do it. We're going to figure out some way to do it. So they made that happen. He's in the music video. When the music video premieres, we're going to have a premiere on this show, on the live stream. We're going to premiere Ghost Tower of Inverness. I'm going to see if it's possible to get Rich and Jeremy, I almost did it, I almost said Justin, Rich and Jeremy and Alan, and have just a roundtable discussion after we premiere the video, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Ghost Tower of Inverness. We'll talk about classic D&D. We'll talk about anything Bards of Greyhawk related, and we'll have us a final time and a great panel discussion. I'm looking forward to it. So that's a thing that's fixing to happen. It's fixing to happen. And speaking of things that are happening, right now, folks, right now, the channel is currently sitting at 853 subs. Folks, we are 147 subs away from the Great Underground Virtual Gaming Convention, or Great Underground Online Gaming Convention. And what is that, you might ask, as you stroll past and listen to this for the first time ever? It is simply this. When the YouTube channel reaches 1,000 subscribers, we are going to have an online gaming con to celebrate 1,000 subs on the channel. That's right, an online gaming con. I will be running, and I'm sure plenty of you could probably go down this list in your sleep, but I'm going to say it anyway. Original D&D. First edition AD&D, first edition Gamma World, Twilight 2000, Tales from the Loop, and just about anything else that I can think of that is either old school or that I like. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we are 147 subs out from hitting that point. I really want that to happen. So tell your friends who like role-playing games. Tell your enemies who like role-playing games. Tell your relatives who like role-playing games. Come on down. Click that subscribe button. Click the notification bell. Become a member of the audience. Because when we hit 1,000, boys and girls, that's when we're going to have some real fun. And Mobius asks, how's it going to happen? Discord. Yes, exactly so. I will set up a special Discord server just for that. If you want to be a game master, I'll figure out some kind of sign-up sheet system to do that. Now, it's not like, oh, we're sitting at 999 subs, refresh. We're at 1,000 subs. It's Friday. It starts tomorrow. We'll hit 1,000 subs. Then I'll figure out a date for it, because I can't say second week of February, guys, because I don't know. I don't know if we'll have 1,000 by second week of February. But I will, the groundwork as far as setting up the servers and everything, that's a snap. I can get that done PDQ. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, no, we're gonna do it on Discord. Adam Black wants to run some basic and expert. Awesome. That's great. I look forward to it. So yeah. I mean, I'll figure out a sign-up system. We'll set a date, and then it'll happen. And as we approach that date, that's just more people signing up to the channel between then and then. See, it'll be even better. DriveThruRPG is having a kick-ass sale. Just bought a bunch of basic and expert stuff. Well, awesome. Good for you, man. I have always thought fondly of Tom Moldvay and Dave Cook's edits of Dungeons and Dragons, the so-called basic sets, the pink and blue boxes, or magenta and blue, or red and blue. I didn't really see a need for the versions that Menzer put together. I just seemed like a redundancy to me. So, that's a good question. Let's take a gander over there. Let's take a quick gander. DriveThruRPG. Well, here, we'll go over there and then we'll start looking. So, rule system, Dungeons and Dragons. Product type, core rule books. Come on, chug. The little website that could. Waiting on DriveThru to, there we go. Let's do official D&D. Here we go. I see one of the books up on the screen. So the basic set is $3.24. I'm sorry, the basic set rule book is $3.24, marked down by 35% from now through January the 16th. Now, a note about this. Remember, you can shoot this over to Lulu and they'll print a copy. Let's see what that would cost you. Let's go to lulu.com. So I think this is quick. Somebody with a basic rule book, tell me what the page count on it is. I want to say it's 128 pages, but I could be wrong about that. That sounds a little high. It might only be 64, but that sounds high. So let's go to Lulu. And let's look at some pricing. It's a print book. Book size. Well, this is going to be A4, 8.5 by 11. Page count, let's go with a 64. Black and white standard. Don't need to go crazy. Paper type, 60-pound white. Saddle stitch that is stapled is not available for this. Well, that sucks. So we'll do paperback. Cover finish. You know, I think we're going to have to select color standard to get us a cover. 60-pound white. Paperback. We'll do a matte. $4.81, depending on the page count. $64 pages. So it's a 64-page book, and if we go over to Lulu, if you want to get it bound on Lulu, it's $4.81. A 5mm spine on it. Now, I don't know if they'll drill that or not. Hey, what if we go with magazine? A4 64. Nope, they still won't saddle stitch it. A comic book? No, they just default to comic book size. 64, black and white. Premium. Coated white. Still no saddle stitch. Dang it. So you're going to have to get it bound. You're going to have to take it bound. They're not going to Red box is 48. But see, there's no reason you can't buy the books and have them printed and bound. If you're out there and you're going nuts because you're looking at prices on eBay and it's like, you know, let's not even here. Let's do this. Let's eBay. Let's talk AD&D. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. All right, here's one that looks like it got run over by a car. You know what? Let's just go buy it now. Let's just skip the auction insanity and let's look at buy it now. Here's one for $79.99. One from Canada for $54.89. One that looks like it's been beaten with a ball-peen hammer and shot with a BB gun for $43 or best offer. I've got an offer. How about you send me $10 and I'll take it off your hand? There's a Jeff Easley cover for $35. Ooh, somebody tried to undercut him. There's one that's in remarkably worse condition for $34. A monster manual for $45 plus $11.95 shipping. $69.99. $79. $69. $94 from Canada. Now let's do a thing. Let's do a thing. Let's jump back over here. Grab that player's handbook. Watermarked PDF, $6.49. And I know what you're saying, Bill, they have print on demand. Their print on demand are $20 and $23 and $41 respectively. Oh, they have one that's $21. It ranges from $21 all the way up to $40. Now let's go back over to Lulu. View pricing. Print book. Book size. A4. Page count. 128. Black and white standard. 60-pound white. Hardcover. Matte. Cost per book, $13.25. $13.25 plus $6.49. That comes close to what you would get for a hardcover standard color book from DriveThru. But here's the thing. You don't get the PDF. You can send the PDF to Lulu. You get the PDF and you get the book for a little less than what Lulu would charge you. I want a copy of Quest of the Heartstone, and the prices on eBay are steep. I don't know that one, so I don't know. Well, I'm talking about, when I say Player's Handbook, I'm talking about the AD&D book. I'm talking about AD&D here, but that's the real, guys. That's the reality of it. For less than $20, you can have a Player's Handbook. If we just change the page count to cover the Dungeon Master's Guide, I think it's 245 pages. And we go color standard. 60-pound white, hardcover. Matte. That's $20.67. That's a little bit more. So there's no reason to drive yourself nuts trying to find rare D&D books on eBay that are going to smell like cigarette smoke and cat pee and be beaten all to hell when you can get a brand new fresh book for brand new fresh book prices. Well, let's see, Vinny. Is that one over here? Now, I don't like giving Wizards of the Coast any money, but if you get it through DriveThruRPG, at least you're also giving money to DTRPG. And they're solid. I like them. Yeah, I'm not seeing Quest for the Heartstone over on DTRPG, though. Sorry, Vinny. That one is Nicked Gerware. The maps suck in the modules from DriveThru. That is true, but there's a workaround. Now, ages ago on the live stream when it was on like during the day, I linked back to a publisher. I've still got the tab open in my system choking browser that's open over there, but I don't have it. Oh, I know what it is. It's Printivity. Are they still kicking around? Now, I reached out to Printivity a long, long time ago. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, so this was a couple of years ago. And I said to the person I talked to, I said, I was wondering if it was possible to have an item printed saddle stitch, but with the cover not attached. For example, 48-page booklet, 8.5 by 11, with a color cover as a slip cover around it. The cover would have printing within. And what they said to me, thank you for your interest. Yes, that would be possible. You would just have to leave a comment that you wouldn't want the cover attached to the booklet. May I ask how many booklets you're looking to order, and do you have a deadline for when you need this booklet? And so he and I bantered back and forth a little bit. But so you can absolutely get classic modules printed. Vinny says, I bought the AD&D bound hard copy from DriveThru and the quality was excellent. A buddy of mine was shocked at the print quality. Granted, I purchased the premium book. The price was great too. True. It's very true that compared to going on eBay and spending 70 or 80 bucks for somebody's beaten up book that rattled around in their backpack or, propped up their coffee table until they decided to eBay the thing or what have you. It makes good horse sense to get a printed copy from DriveThruRPG. And if they don't have it, if they just have the PDF, go over to Lulu, take it over to Printivity and have them do it. It's worth doing. Just my opinion, just my 2 cents. So, anyway. Who else has got anything? Somebody was mentioning Upstream, and I think we kind of... XL1 Quest for the Heartstone. Let me see. Somebody mentioned something, and I meant to come back to it. Where was it? Found BX at the community thrift store. So I got to tell a story. Speaking of thrift stores, ages ago, I wanted a copy of Dungeon, the board game Dungeon, and I bought one from shopgoodwillonline.com. And it came in a lot. It was like, here's a bunch of board games. Here's a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons board games and Dungeons and Dragons books. I bid on it, $39. I got it. The Dungeons and Dragons books were, I think there was like a second edition Dungeon Master's Guide, an unexpurgated copy of Deities and Demigods. Yes, that's right. And then a copy of Dungeon and a copy of some Avalon Hill game. But yeah, I was over the moon to get all that stuff. Now at Goodwill, and presumably at Salvation Army also, If you're not from the States, those are charity organizations, charity shops, I think they call them. Nowadays, they tell their sorters, yeah, if you see anything, like, they basically train them to keep an eye out for Commodore computers, Apple computers, TI, whatever of the great 8-bit machines that wash up on their shores, or anything with Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering on it. They hoard that and they put it up on their own little eBay-ish corner of the internet. It was not Powers and Perils, Rob. But yeah, so you can't, at least for me, I can't find good stuff at Goodwill. I stopped bothering looking at Goodwill. I just don't want to get lice when I'm trying to find a cheap D&D book. The resellers do comb through those places. I mean, it's absolutely true. But yeah, vintage computing stuff, classic board games, role-playing games, basically anything that looks like a role-playing game or isn't immediately identifiable as a board game, like it's not a life set or, Ghostbusters 2016 Monopoly or something like that. If it's not that, then, Yeah, I mean, I actually thought about doing a thrifting video. The local used bookstore, it's nuts. Now, look, you charge what you want to. It's your business. But, dude, come on. I'm going to take the top buy it now price off of eBay. I'm going to sort by price, highest first, and that's what I'm going to price in my store. What the fuck incentive is there for me to come to your store if I can look at my phone and say, oh, look, on eBay, an easily covered Dungeon Master's Guide is currently selling for $69.99. How much do you want for yours, Mr. Retailer? $69.99. And I don't have to stand around in your store that smells like mothballs and cat pee. Good day. So I got to tell a story now, because Vinny is saying, just once I want to walk into a Goodwill or Salvation Army and find a book, a TSR book. I've known a few people that has happened to. It happened to me. I pulled up in front of the Goodwill one day. It was actually around this time of year. It was a little bit before my birthday, but I stopped in front of the Goodwill because I wanted to try out my hand at thrifting. And I said, good Lord, if it's your will, let me find a TSR Dungeons and Dragons book in that store. Climb out. Go in. Start looking through there. Absolutely, positively not in any shape, form, or whatever organized books. Here's volume M out of an encyclopedia. Here's a Winnie the Pooh book. Here's a microwave cooking book from 1978. Here's a book about Babe Ruth. And it just stacked, just side by side on the shelves like that. You literally have to look at every book. At least the one near me you do. So I'm looking through, and I'm like, no big. And I check in the oversized children books just to be sure, a monster manual is like the size of a kid's storybook. So I check over there. And I go back over one more time to peruse the books just to see if there's anything that catches my eye. And lo and behold, I had missed a TSR Dungeons and Dragons book. What is staring me in the eye is a Planescape novel that is, if you're not familiar, late second edition AD&D campaign setting that has about as much bearing on Greyhawk as, the microwave cooking book from 1978. And I can only imagine the good Lord looking down and going, what? You didn't specify. What, am I supposed to be a mind reader now? You didn't say, I want to find a wood grain OD&D set. You just said a TSR D&D book, and there it is. Buy it and be happy. I didn't buy it. But that always made me laugh. 20 copies of Dianetics. Yes. Lord Corion. Yeah, Planescape. Yeah, I recognize why people like Planescape. I get it. It is really out of the ordinary. I totally get it. It's not my jam. I don't hate it. I'm not going to slag on it. It's not my jam. But just the fact that I went, oh, please let me find a D&D book. Here's your D&D book. That is meme worthy and proof positive that the good Lord has a sense of humor. Tell me that's not funny. That is. That is hilarious. Now, I actually found, I had a similar situation. The first time my wife and I went to Vanderklaes's It's the Art. Planescape's art is pretty boss. I'll give you that. And so you can learn planar can't. Whatever, Burke. Anyway, my wife and I, there's a little bookstore, or there was a little bookstore. Apparently, downtown Lake Geneva is extraordinarily expensive to have a shop in. If you haven't been there since like the days of Ma Barker, and you know your storefront was leased back then, and the lease is passed down through your family. You know, it's just renting. It's just really expensive. And I know this because I have a friend who thought about opening a game store in downtown Lake Geneva. And he ended up opening a game store over in Delavan. But so there was a bookstore in downtown Lake Geneva. I don't know if it's still there. What was unique about it was obviously a house. It was freestanding. It wasn't on the strip. So it's like shop, bookstore, shop. Wisconsin Martha's Vineyard. I believe it, Dungeon Minister. Although I will tell you, I'm going to come back to you. Let's stick a pin in that. Not really stick a pin in it. People won't know what to make of that. But the first time the wife and I were in Lake Geneva, we went into this bookstore, and I nudged her and I said, how funny would it be if I found a Dungeons and Dragons book in here? I would practically have to buy it. And sure enough, and it was a used bookstore, sure enough, there was a Dragonlance book and a Buck Rogers book. Again, the good Lord does have a sense of humor. So this is for the Dungeon Minister. This might just just fly over the heads of everyone else. But I'm gonna tell you, if you've never been to Central Florida, and you come down and you've got a lot of time to get, like, you're going to be down here for like 3 weeks. And you're like, well, you know, we've got some open days. Or if you're from Central Florida, but you've never been to where I'm going to tell you about, avail yourself and go over there. Especially if you have been to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, go to a little town called Mount Dora. Go to Mount Dora and look around. You will soon realize that if you were teleported from Mount Dora, like if you closed your eyes, say it's June, nice springy time of year. I guess June is technically early summer. So you couldn't get a weather shock. Noon in June. Close your eyes, or when you blinked, you were teleported to Lake Geneva. As long as you weren't on the main drag, you wouldn't know you'd gone anywhere. That same day, that first day when Colleen and I were checking out Lake Geneva, we were just like, this is exactly like Mount Dora. It's where my wife and I got married, Mount Dora, Florida, not Lake Geneva. So yeah, we were just kind of, oh, wow. It was tripping us. It's the same kind. Lakeside. It's next to a lake. There's lots of golfing that goes on out there. Little resort there. We were just kind of blown away. Maybe that was the last of Lorraine Williams' fortune. Maybe. Last I heard, she busted north and was living in Europe. I don't care. Mount Dora Goblin Market for the win. Yeah. Yeah, Doomsword, if anyone in Central Florida has ever been to Mount Dora, it's very much the same. And I mean that in a pleasant way. But I think Lake Geneva is probably a little bigger. They have like a multi-story hospital in Lake Geneva, like an actual like full service hospital. I think you got to go up the highway a little bit out of Mount Dora. Mount Dora was probably built by cheesehead snowbirds. Go to the official website. The official website for Mount Dora. That was a big thing, and I guess it comes up every now and again as people will have shirts on this. I climbed Mount Dora. And in like the Piney Woods part of Central Florida, like when you get into the middle of the state, there are hills. There's a couple of hills and gullies out towards west of us that they change altitude so fast that your ears will pop. You'll have to do the chewing game thing. Misty Summers. That sounds like a entertainment name. Oh, yeah. But yeah, if you just planted palm trees and palmettos in Lake Geneva, you could probably like convince somebody that they were in Mount Dora if they went there. It's crazy. Lost my tab. There you are. The rolling, it's absolutely true. You get out of the Piney Woods and there's rolling hills. It's not all salt flats. It's mostly salt and marsh flats. But yeah, you get up in like north central Florida, there are some hills. I think the two highest hills in Florida, one is over in Cocoa Beach, which is strange because it's right on the coast. And the other is like way, way north up in the Panhandle. Lake Geneva has the best postal service. Well, I know that P.O. Box 754 got a lot of mail between 1976-ish and 1997 or 8. So, yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine they would have had to have a good mail service, postal service there. Done by boat and teenagers leap off the dock. Or leap into the dock. I was going to say, do they hold it over their heads and make sure it doesn't fall in the water? Chris says, greetings, Bill Spivey. Greetings to you, Chris. Anyway, so I've been keeping this thing going for about an hour, and I haven't really gotten to talking much about Greyhawk. We talked a little bit. I think we closed yesterday on the Jim Ward mention. I didn't really tell the story because I think it's only fair that we let Jim tell that story. Doomsword says, I bought a hot sauce I had never had the other day and found it was from Lake Geneva. So my brain never equated this. Like I never looked deeply at this. One of the best, if not the alt punk, folk punk albums ever created is the self-titled first release from Violent Femmes, recorded in Lake Geneva in 1979, released in 1980. Apparently, Violent Femmes were always part of the musical entertainment at Gen Con, starting in the mid-80s. Which I hope that Gary appreciated, because I always thought that the Femmes had a very kind of jazzy sound to them, like a little jazz trio sound to them going. But yeah, if you look it up, let me see. Now, they're from Milwaukee. Castle Recording Studios, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Folk punk, post-punk, alternative rock. It is it is a phenomenal little album, and I maintain that Added Up is probably the angriest, one of the angriest songs in rock and roll. It is right up. I would put that down as one of the top 5 angriest songs ever written. Gordon Gano is pissed off, and he wants you to know it. I really, really like it. Everybody's like, Blister and the Sun's about masturbation, huh? Yes, it is. Now, now that you've got your jollies out, listen to Add It Up, and then come back to me. You will be in a worse mood if you're paying attention. Chris says, I dig some of the Violent Femme stuff. You can never have enough xylophone in your rock music. Doomsword says, I found British Steel was mastered or something in Orlando. Yeah, Rob Halford, I don't know if he still does, but he did maintain homes in Orlando and in Daytona. It was one of the coastal cities. Halford lived right around these parts. Tom Petty lived about 15 minutes from me for a while. When I was growing up in Central Florida, the neighborhood that I lived in was in transition, but it was still mostly very nice. It was called Pine Hills. A lovely name. Evokes very nice things. It's a demilitarized zone now. I wouldn't drive through Pine Hills as part of a convoy of Stryker light armored vehicles, much less just drive my car through Pine Hills. And I wouldn't do it in an Abrams tank on a Saturday night. Anyway, but rewind back to the early 1980s. Rosemont, which is right on a large lake called Lake Orlando. Crime Hills, that's right. Rosemont was a very hoity-toity exclusive neighborhood, and Tom Petty had a home over there. And Rosemont was literally like a 5-minute car ride from my house. You just come straight down Pine Hills Road, take a right on Powers, not a left, a right, or not Powers, North Lane. That's right. Take a right on North Lane and just take it into Rosemont. Don Felder lived in the same town as Tom Petty. But I mean, you know, those guys, they're going to have houses everywhere. I mean, Gary lived in King Vidor's mansion in Los Angeles when he was there during the 80s. So yeah, I mean, to quote the great Buckaroo Banzai, or throw the spear, people are going to come from everywhere. Or harpoon, rather. Or throw the harpoon. You're going to find people come from everywhere. But we've been going for about an hour. Okay, it's Friday. It's open. At this point, do you guys want to jump in and talk about some Greyhawk? Since I did say this was part of the Let's Play OD&D and Explore Greyhawk. Did you guys want to talk more about Supplement 1 Greyhawk? We can. I will leave it up to you guys. If we do, show's probably going to run another 30, 45 minutes at least. If not, we'll probably just ease her on down to the runway. Just end this aerial tour of suburban Central Florida and the Lake Geneva surrounding areas. There's a funny story about Rob Halford not Rob Halford. I'm so sorry, Rob. Rob Halford is a swell guy, by all accounts. But of Glenn Danzig not taking care of his yard and having this pallet of bricks sitting like on the corner of his weedy, unkempt front yard in a fairly exclusive Burbank neighborhood. And he got repeated letters from the homeowners association, and he kept paying their fines but not doing anything about it. Greyhawk, oh boy. 3 hours is a nice round number. Yeah, you come on the show and do them then, Vince, and I'll sit back and yell suggestions at you. I'm kidding. But so the story goes, finally, the homeowners association was like, here's the deal. We're going to put a dumpster on your easement. And you have a week until we file a complaint with the sheriff's office to remove the construction material from your front yard. Blah, 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 blah. So, someone who lived in that same neck of the woods is upper middle class, but still not like Elvis at Graceland, where it's the house is like 500 yards off the road and there's gates and everything else, So the story goes, they hear this clanging and booming sound and yelling, and they go out onto the yard, and there's Glenn Danzig. And Danzig's a pretty ripped guy. But he's grabbing the bricks off the pallet and throwing them one at a time into the dumpster and yelling, here's Glenn Danzig cleaning up his yard. Everybody see Glenn. Glenn is cleaning up his yard so he doesn't get fined. Here I am cleaning up my yard. And heaving the bricks one at a time into the dumpster. Boom. Rant. Boom. Rant. Boom. Rant. And he did this until the entire pallet was loaded up, and he called a lawn service to cut his lawn and a hauler to come and take the portable dumpster away. So sometimes it can be nice to have a rock star neighbor. Sometimes not so much. Anyway, here's the Dungeon Delver reading from Greyhawk. So let me just let's see if I can remember how to do this now, because I've just been running my mouth talking shit. I never saw any of the truly great heavy metal bands. I saw Metallica before I realized just exactly how terrible of a person Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield were. So I did spend my money enthusiastically on 2 showings of the Black Album tour, once just by themselves in the Orlando Arena, and then again in the Tangerine Bowl downtown with almost said New Order, with that would be a different show, yeah. With Faith No More and Guns N' Roses. So let's do this. Let's see. Let's open up Acrobat and blow my face away there and see if I can move me out of the way. There I am. Hang on, I'll get there, guys. I'm coming back to you. I didn't see a great metal band. I thought they were great at the time. I thought they were great at the time. Loved, yes, that's much the same. I'd be here all night talking about like great concerts that I've seen, but we're going to talk about some Dungeons and Dragons, because if anybody is driven by and they're like, I've been waiting for the D&D to start, this guy's just talking about Glenn Danzig and yard work. So last night when we were looking at that Greyhawk book that we hope our referee will let us use, we discovered new ways to award experience points for monster slaying. And Gary calls it ridiculous. It's either the Rob Kuntz guy rather, or the Gary Gygax guy are saying that it is ridiculous for 100 points per level for slain monsters. Instead, we're going to use the table below. I will only take an exception, Doomsword, in that I will say Garage Days Revisited, the first album they did with Newstead between Master and Justice for All, was raw and good sounding, and they let Jason's bass playing stand out, and I think that's probably why Lars Ulrich screwed Newstead so hard, was because his bass playing on that sounds really good, and his drums were getting covered up by a good bass player. And we talked about different weapons, like a dagger versus man-sized opponents now does a D4. So we gotta grab this damn thing that I step on and hurt my foot, and roll it for a dagger. So now my dagger can only do like up to 4 points, and an orc could just shrug that off. And against larger opponents, it sucks even more. But you see, note spear, set versus charge, larger opponents. The dragon decides to land and engage in little melee. You set those spears 2 to 16. You could slay a very young dragon or a young dragon outright with a couple of spears set against a charge. Now we see where the power curve of this is starting to go up. Magic armor effects on armor class. And this is a little wonky. I'll have to sit down with a referee and talk to him about this. But I think what they're saying is, if I've got +5 armor and +5 shield, my armor class can be as low as -8. And anything that hits me is going to need +10 on the combat table. That's pretty powerful. So we kind of went through this. And this impacts the attacks and damage by monster type to be used with the varying damage by weapons. And in no event it is recommended for use without the aforementioned. So use weapon variability. Well, it might be swooping down to claw the party. So we have orcs striking for 1 to 6 or by weapon type. Hobgoblins and gnolls 1 to 8 or by weapon type. Ogre 1 to 10. A troll has 2 claws and 1 to bite and 1 bite. 1 to 4 per claw and 1 to 8 per bite. Manticora, 2 claws, 1 bite, 24 spikes. 1 to 3 per claw, 1 to 8 for bite, 1 to 6 per spike. Chimera, 2 claws, 3 heads. We have the goat head, or 1 to 3 per claw. Then the goat head inflicts 1 to 4. The lion's head inflicts 2 to 8. The dragon's head inflicts 3 to 12. And then we get to dragons. The red dragon, 3 to 30. I got to roll 3 10-sided dice. Wow. In this new Greyhawk supplement, dragons are bad news. Balrog. Balrog. Look at that. Still included in Greyhawk, the Balrog and the Hobbit were not completely expunged, guys. They were not completely expunged. The Balrog has 2 attacks, 1 to 12 with sword, 2 to 12, 3 to 18, or 4 to 24, according to size. Now, we haven't introduced demons yet. We don't know. I mean, stepping back from the whole meta, it's 1978 or 1975. We haven't been introduced to demons. All of that has been the purview of the Dungeon Master, but the Balrog has remained. I want to look at something here. Men and Magic. Let me open real quick. Is it in Otherworld and Wilderness Adventures? It is. It is. So this is kind of has the monster manual in it. Let's see. No, it's in Monsters and Treasure. That's right. Do we have stats for a Balrog, or are we just stuck with that tantalizing vestige because we didn't get a wood grain set? We got that white box version. Monster and Reference Table, page 3. Nope. No Balrog. Well, I guess the referee will just have to do his best to explain it to us. Sea monsters, minotaurs, unicorns, nixies, dryads. Note here, it's spelled with an I. D-R-I-A-D. Gnomes. There's gnomes again! Gosh, wouldn't it be fun if we could play a gnome as a character? That's crazy talk. The referee would never allow that. Invisible Stalker. Elemental gets 5 asterisks. What's that all about? See separate section regarding type of elemental, as adjustments may be required due to circumstances. New spells? Hey, what's this? Magic Missile? M-I-S-S-L-E. Magic Missile. Let's go take a look at Magic Missile and see what that is. That's new. Magic Missile. This is a conjured missile equivalent to a magic arrow, and it does full damage, 2 to 7 points, to any creature it strikes. For every 5 levels the magic user has attained, he may add an additional 2 missiles when employing this spell. So a 6th level magic user may cast 3 magic missiles at his target, and 11th cast 5, and so on. Range, 15 inches. A most interesting spell. So the magic missile is apparently a magic arrow. But note, it doesn't say anything about automatically hitting. The magic user still must roll to hit with a magic missile. Damage rations. Yeah, if you've ever eaten hardtack. Hey, here's a spell that'll increase fighter strength. Duration, 8 game hours. Man, so if we play 2 4-hour games or 1 8-hour, from Saturday night to Sunday morning, it'll last the whole time. That's my read on it, but because I'm the player. Web, this form of spell has already been explained in Volume 2. Man, there's a lot of cool new spells in here. I'm kind of wishing Xylarthan II had been a magic user. An absolutely badass drawing of a Japanese ogre by Bell there. One of the better OD&D illustrations. That and the Dragon Turtle. Monster summonings. By employing this spell, the magic user calls to his aid a monster appearing on the monster level tables, kobolds, goblins, skeletons, etc. If a relatively small monster is indicated by the die roll, the referee will determine how many appear by rolling a 6-sided die, otherwise from 1 to 3 appear. The monster or monsters so summoned will faithfully serve the magic users until they depart when the spell ceases to function or they are killed. Delay, 1 turn. Duration, 6 melee rounds. Range, 10 feet. Interesting. Whoa. I have to charm a monster now? I can't just use the charm person spell? So we see lots of awesome new spells in here. Oh, a clone spell. Is that like the Clone Wars? Oh, sorry. Little bit of little bit of redaction needed there. That's not something we know about yet. Remember, it's only 1975. Was Shield in before? I don't know. That's a fine question. Let's see. If I look for Shield, we'll get drowned in entries about the piece of armor. So let's look under the spell table. You think I would have had the pull-out sheets handy, but no. Spells. Nope. What we have at first level in meta magic is detect magic, hold portal, read magic, read languages, protection from evil, light, charm person, and sleep. No shield, no magic missile. This is some powerful stuff here. Permanent spell. I like this. By means of this spell, certain other spells can be caused to function permanently rather than for a limited duration, i.e. detect magic, read magic, levitate, detect evil, etc. It is of the utmost importance that the referee place strict limits on which spells may be made permanent, as well as how many may be permanently placed on a creature or object. It is recommended that permanence be limited to once per object and twice per creature, so a magic user may cast one which affects his head, read magic for example, and one which affects his body, haste or fly or water breathing are examples. A permanent spell placed on a wish spell will make the wish repeat itself endlessly once it was uttered, so don't try to bend things. Dispel magic, well, I mean, if you only wish for 10 gold pieces. Dispel magic, which are at least twice the level of the caster of the permanent spell, will negate it, so 3 warlocks could negate the spell of a 12th level wizard, assuming he read it from a scroll, as he could not otherwise use such a spell. Mind blank. Polymorph, what does that do? This spell allows the polymorphing. Now I gotta go get my Webster's dictionary out of the basement. Allows any object to any other object shape, but its duration will be in direct relationship to the similarity of the object polymorph to what it has been altered to become. Whew! I'm going to have to read that over and over again. And then we got more monster summoning. Oh, look, Meteor Swarm, where this Jim guy is mentioned again. Who is Jim and why did he get mentioned? Oh, I like this one. Power word kill. A spell like the blind spell, except that it will kill instantly any creature up to 50 hit points. Gotta get me one of those for my new character. Wish. The same spell is found in a Ring of Wishes, Dungeons and Dragons, Monsters and Treasures, page 33. Using a wish spell, however, requires so great a conjuration that the user will be unable to do anything further magically for from 2 to 8 days. Whoa, what's this weird looking thing? The Great Stone Face, Enigma of Greyhawk. Now, stepping back again away from the meta, this is literally the only tantalizing bit of Castle Greyhawk that Gary penned that we ever see. Think about that for a minute. This illustration is it. We know that there's a Great Stone Face Enigma somewhere in the Castle Greyhawk dungeons. What does it do? We don't know. We find out later in talking to Ernie Gygax and Gary about what it does, but that's it. That's literally the only published sliver from Gary's hands to our reading that we have. Is a strange, like Islander stone head-like sculpture. Prismatic wall. Now, I recognize that because I read some Jack Vance recently on the recommendation of one of the guys at the gaming club. When this spell is invoked, a whirling, scintillating globe of multicolors springs into existence around the magic user. The sphere is 20 feet in diameter. Any creature below 8 hit dice which looks at it will be blinded from 1 to 6 turns. The color of the wall will indicate its powers, and they must be destroyed in order to negate the spell. And we have all of these. We have red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, and violet. And they get worse as time goes on. Note, referees may wish to change the order, negating spell, and or use and effect of the various colors in order to make it more difficult for the players to break through a prismatic wall. Basically, if they're like, I've memorized this in order, it's going to work this way, screw with them a little bit. The caster of the spell may pass through it without harm. This spell is one which applies itself well to permanency. Duration 1 game hour. Yes, hi Gygaxian. And we have cleric spells. Again, clerics are not casting spells. I don't think clerics ever get out from under the boot of not being able to cast until they hit 2nd level until AD&D. So look, we've got a lot of spells. We've got a lot of new spells. And the spells are cool. I'm going to read those when I get home. Remember, I'm still hanging out in front of the Orange Julius. My sesame sticks and you know, thinking about going and getting in a game of Space Invaders over in the Aladdin's Castle there. They got that new Captain Fantastic pinball game. I've been dying to play it. So we have a Monsters and Treasures supplement here. We have a monster name, monster reference table, hostile and benign creatures addition. Druids, number appearing, armor class, movement inches, hit dice, and percentage in layer, not in liar. Type or amount of treasure, A with a superscript of 1. And variable. Then we have Tritons, 5 to 30 plus, also variable. Bugbears, 5 to 20, armor class 5, movement inches 9, hit dice 3 plus 1, 30% chance in layer, and treasure type B. And so it goes. Ogre, Magi, so on and etc. Rust Monster, Sturge, Owlbear, Gelatinous Cube. What the hell is all this stuff? Homunculi? Now here's the thing. I told you guys about the creation of Orange Julius was across from Aladdin's Castle at my childhood mall. Oh, the memories. Orange Julius was across from the Aladdin castles in everyone's mall. I like our local mall here. It's up in Altamont. I just wish it had a video arcade in it. If it had a classic video arcade in it, dark, all the machines volumes cranked up to max, so you get that thunder of an arcade, a change machine, a little office in the back, a few stools, a couple of cocktail games, just classic arcade, Namco and Bally machines and stuff like that. No DDR, no fighting games, no games that pay off in tickets, no cards to swipe. Well, Mobius, no, good for you. Orange Julius is delicious. Orange Julius, a handful of the sesame sticks, and a hot dog. Really, I mean, you didn't need anything else. This is all the major food groups right there. You get them from those kiosks in the middle. This was before food courts now. Orange Julius is... it's the original fruit smoothie. Greasy manager hitting on the teen girls classic. No fruit slot machine. Yeah. It's the 1970s tonight, right here live on the Delver's Dungeon. No modernity need apply. None of it. Just keep it away. There's a sip left. So I talked about Sir Fang and the introduction of the cleric class in pre-D&D time. Vampires are affected by the cross despite any former religious background, as it is sovereign against them. Arcade Monsters in Oviedo, that is correct. I know not of malls without food courts. Well, we had a very simple cruciform mall that had like Sears at one end, Belk Hudson at the other, or was it Belk Lindsay? I think it was Belk Lindsay. And a J.C. Penney, and then like a General Mall opening, and a 2-screen movie theater when I was a kid in Gadsden, Alabama. The Gadsden Mall. And it's still there. It's kind of grown a little in some ways, but arcade games $0.25 a piece. Darn right. The first arcade game I ever played was Exidy's Starfire. Or was it Atari's Football at the roller rink? Huh. I think it was probably Starfire. Yes. Myself and a buddy of mine, Omar. Omar was the navigator. He would push the throttle forward and backward, just kind of at random. And I was the gunner co-pilot. It was a lot of fun. Now, when Gods and Monsters was in their big location before they got screwed out of it, in the Artagon Mall, they actually had a shed load of classic arcade games, and they even brought a bunch of them over to their new location, but they eventually had to sell them all off because of space reasons. They have a lovely Star Wars pinball machine inside the shop near the front of the store. But yeah, the Galaga, the Pac-Man, the Miss Pac-Man, the Centipede, they had Primal Rage. They had a couple more. Those are all gone. I do believe they still have some cocktail machines in the back in the bar in Vault 5421. Tritons. Similar to mermen in appearance, Tritons are more powerful in all ways. They range from 5 to 7 hit dice, and they can use spells. Ogre Magi. Now, Gary loved his Japanese stuff. These are properly Japanese ogres, far more powerful than their Western cousins. An ogre mage has the ability, in addition to those of a normal ogre, become invisible, fly as a flying spell allows, cause darkness in a 1-inch radius, polymorph itself into a human form, regenerate at 1 melee point per round, or 1 point per melee round, employ a single charm person spell and a single sleep spell once per day, and use a cold spell of 8 dice value once per day. These abominations typically lure or raid for human victims to pillage, devour, or enslave. Storm giants, titans, will-o-wisps. These creatures are highly clever and seek to lure their intended victims into some spot where they will be trapped and expire, and when their life force leaves them, the will-o-wisp will feed upon this force. They commonly inhabit deserted places which have areas of quicksand, mires, and the like. Any metal weapon will harm a will-o-wisp, providing it can hit the creature. If cornered, it will strike at opponents, doing 2 to 12 points of electrical damage per hit. These creatures can alter shape, become bright or dim, or disappear entirely at will. In order to save their lives, they will reveal where their treasure is hidden, but the will-o-wisp has to be at 3 or fewer hit points so to reveal its treasure. I have, I know that Gary was going for wild, like African dogs with blink dogs. I really can't help it just because I'm an aficionado of the breed. Blink dogs in my Greyhawk campaign are Labrador Retrievers. Yes, it's sweet and silly and stupid, but there we are. If you knew my old lady Labradors, you would know how true that was, that they had the ability to disappear. Now here's one that probably would get Gary canceled today. Dragons. There are these additional varieties of dragons conform to the typical characteristics of their species except where noted. There is only one king of lawful dragons, just as there is only one queen of chaotic dragons. Brace yourselves, guys. Women's lib may make whatever they wish from the foregoing. Gary, you're gonna get in trouble. Sorry, my back's itching. Now note this, the Dragon Queen. The chromatic dragon is a huge creature with 5 heads, one of each of the color of the 5 chaotic dragons. Her body is striped in these same colors, and her tail is that of a wyvern. She can employ all heads at once, either to breathe or cast spells. Her major abode is in a stupendous cavern far beneath the earth. Note, it doesn't say she's in hell, just that she's far beneath the earth. Danger, danger, Gary Robinson. So we're getting the idea. Now we come to a beholder. I do want to mention the beholder because I think it's that weird looking thing on the cover of the book that we bought at the hobby store across from the mall. These monsters are also known as spheres of many eyes or eye tyrants. The body of these creatures is a great globe about 3 feet in diameter. Atop it are 10 eye stalks, while in the center of the spherical body is a great 11th eye. The body can sustain 40 points of damage, and each eye stalk 10 points, and the central eye can withstand up to 20 points. Good Lord, that's 70 hit points of damage. The armor class of the body is 0, the eye stalks 2, and the eyes proper 7. Each eye functioning is a different manner. Charm person, charm monster, sleep, telekinesis, flesh to stone, disintegrate, fear, slow spell, serious wound, death ray, and anti-magic ray. Now dig this. In addition, the beholders are able to levitate themselves and float slowly about. These monsters are avaricious. They are neutral in nature, although they tend to be chaotic. So back in the day, you could potentially encounter a beholder that was maybe possibly not interested in charming, disintegrating, crushing, beating up your entire party. Umberhulks, displacer beasts, blink dogs. And again, Gary says they closely resemble African wild dogs, but they have high intelligence and the ability to employ a limited teleportation. Blink dogs are basically lawful and will always attack displacer beasts. Now, what about this rust monster? These seeming inoffensive creatures are the bane of metal with a ferrous content, for as their name applies, they have the effect of rust upon such substances. Oh, well, you just got to clean it, right? And this happens nearly instantaneously. Any hits by or upon a rust monster cause even magical weapons to rust and fall to flakes. Armor is affected in a like manner. The creature is very fast, but I'm going over this with a magic marker. I'm not showing that to my referee. That sucks. Sturges, large bird-like monsters with long dangling proboscises. The Sturges might call to mind evil-looking feathered ant-eaters. Sturges are attracted to warm-blooded creatures, and when a hit is scored by one, it indicates it has attached itself to its prey. Man, the referee better never get his hands on this. Owl bears, carrion crawlers, gelatinous cubes, giant slugs, homunculus. What is this? It's made in animate. This is a powerful book, guys. This is really going to expand our game out. Hello, Kool-Aid. Good to see you. Additions and changes to magic determination. A holy sword +5. That must have been what it was talking about with that paladin class with a holy sword. So you can just go down through here, and then there's lots. Hey, what are these books? Manual of Pussy Ant Skill at Arms? Manual of Gainful Exercise, Bodily Health, Stealthy Pilfering? Other than being in basic D&D, he did nothing wrong. Hello, Redfield. I know a lot of people dig on Mystara. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you Mystara fans, but did Mystara not basically start with Keep on the Borderlands and grow outward from there? Sword +2, 9 steps draining ability. This weapon appears to be a typical +2 sword, but it also drains energy in progressive steps from 1 to 9 on any hit of 20. Man, it's like Stormbringer. Arrows of Slaying. So we have a lot of kick-ass magic items. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, guys. Since I can just get another Greyhawk book anytime I need it to, I may go buy another one. Although $5, man, that's a lot. That's like half a day's pay. I'll go over the monsters with a black marker, like the Rust Monster and the Gelatinous Cube and the Carrion Crawler. Oh man, a naked girl. Scarabum and Raging Enemies, Scarabum Insanity, Bowl of Watery Death. Should my stream get shut down? So if all of this stuff is looking terribly familiar to the AD&D player, it's because it is. Much of this stuff was ported over directly into the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide, which is why I say when you're playing first edition AD&D, you are by default playing a Greyhawk setting. Werebear? There bear. It just looks like a bear. Just look like a particularly smug bear. Smug bear, not a werebear. And we have the deck of many things. The Underworld and Wilderness Adventures. Now let me get on something. Let me step away from the meta that we're doing here. Good Lord, we've gone almost 2 hours. I don't want to get negative. I don't like getting negative, but I do want to talk about something here. I do kind of want to address this. It has been suggested, it has been promulgated, the idea that the random encounter tables and so forth and etc., and the magic items and all that jazzmatazz in the Dungeon Master's Guide was really the handiwork of Bob Bledsaw. And I'm sorry, I don't believe that, not for a minute. I don't believe it for a single solitary second that Gary sent his manuscript to Judges Guild, who TSR were at odds with, regardless of how you feel about Judges Guild. There is Greyhawk or heresy. Choose. Yes, I choose Greyhawk. All of the charts and tables in the Dungeon Master's Guide are in OD&D, and particularly in Greyhawk. And we'll see more in Blackmoor, and we'll see more in Supplement 3, Eldritch Wizardry. But to fill more pages required more words. So a lot of these got very beefed up. And you got the artifacts, many of the artifacts that aren't in Supplement 3. Don't you believe it for a minute either. Evil bubbles, giant bubbles which float about in the corridors and the rooms of dungeons. The slightest touch will explode them, causing from 1 to 10 dice damage. Not 1 to 10 points, 1 to 10 dice. That's up to 10d6. Depending on the level they are on, these bubbles, 1 in 6, might contain a gem. Castle Greyhawk D&D biggest tease. Yup. A box of animal crackers which will spring to life when grasped. For example, a bear might dump a bowl of porridge on the player's head. A giant fox might demand a bunch of grapes or else he'll attack. A lion will attack unless a thorn in his paw is removed, and so on. At least one of the animals will give some treasure or aid of some sort. If you're not putting Nabisco magic animal crackers in your dungeon, why are you even here? Why are you even watching this live stream? Look. Take whatever chicken scratchings you've written for a dungeon and make it 1,000% better by putting a box of aminal crackers in it. And yes, it's aminal. A-M-I-N-A-L. Aminal crackers. Make it better by putting aminal crackers in it. Rooms which emit rays or gases which cause unexpected reactions or force players entering to do things that they do not necessarily desire to do, i.e. a room which causes all who enter to attack each other, a room of greed, a geas room, a room which causes a sex change, a cursed room, etc. All of those showed up in the Tomb of Horrors, by the way. Devices which have numbers of levers, buttons, dials, or whatever, and the movement of each will cause a different thing to happen. Typical examples of results. Damage to mover, change alignment, become another class, become a monster, lose a level, teleported elsewhere, release various missiles which come out or down within a certain area, open pits or slides, give various treasures, give a magic item, and give some bonus to experiences or abilities. There are many more possibilities. Doors which open only for a certain class or player or to one alignment. Doors which only open for monsters. Oh, drive your characters up the wall. We just saw him go in here. Let us open it. No. Doors which have intelligence and are usually malign. One of us always tells the truth. One of us is always lying. I apologized, Bob, okay? A lengthy corridor 20 feet wide, at the end of which is a 20-foot square room, which upon being entered slides backwards with an imperceptible motion, so that when it is left from on its opposite side, the party is actually traversing a section of the same 20-foot corridor again. This process can be repeated with one or more additional rooms in series. A passage which slants down one level to a set of stairs which lead to a door to an elevator room which goes down 1 or 2 levels. The exit from the elevator room is another down slanting passage at the base of which is a slide down. In this way, no less than 5 levels will be descended while the party believes that only 2 have been descended. Vegetation which holds, grass is fine for this, entwines, vines or brambles, moves, flails, branches, shrubs, and trees, shouts warnings, hurls missiles, fruits, nuts, or thorns, or emits perfumes which cause death, forgetfulness, sleep, or the like, flowers or fruits. Furniture, which is animated to trip, confine, and smother, rugs and carpets, or move about and hug and kick, stools, chairs, or divans, or blinds and thrown down, tapestries, and wall hangings. Ours is known as the living room. Again, another slight hint at Castle Greyhawk. Room complexes, which are all part of a monster, the first of which being the mouth, the next the stomach, and so forth. Ew. When did Gary create Mordenkainen? Gary created Mordenkainen to adventure in Rob Kuntz's World of Calibrun. So it would have been about this time, 76, 77. Or it might have started back in 1973. Tally zinged me there. All right. Now we get a little bit of insight into the Great Stone Enigma. A great bas-relief face, which if looked upon will either bestow some worthwhile knowledge or increase to the beholder, or else cause him to save versus magic or be turned into a wart on its face or something similar. See a Merit's Face in the Abyss for a good example. A wishing well gives fulfillment of wishes according to the value of the item tossed within it. Of course, some wells are inhabited by a horrible monster who hoards treasure. Treasures which are hidden as part of the monster. Fur is that of great value. Gem eyes or claws. Horns of precious material. Creatures whose hard shells are actually shields of magical value. Magic teeth and fangs. Gizzards full of gems. Hollow horns with magic items in size. Spikes which are platinum, and so on. Checking this all out requires a lot of time. And we get all of that later in AD&D. Right after reading the Calavella. Very good. I see what you did there. You can take something from the prize chest today. Statues with a small piece missing. If the missing portion is found and replaced, the statue turns back to its original form and serves the person. A cyclops with a missing eye, for example, which is a very large diamond held by a nearby monster. If the eye is found and replaced, the cyclops will serve for a limited period of time. Of course, some statues are stone golems which will attack when made whole. Gary, okay, so Gary insisted that the Mordenkainen in and Bigby and Rigby and other characters of his that were in Rogues Gallery were just made up. They were not his actual characters. But the one in Mordenkainen's Fantastic Adventures is a snapshot of Mordenkainen at a particularly high level. And this just goes on like this. Just goes on and on. We have a ghoul. Not a great looking ghoul. Monsters by level. Note the Thule is gone. It's now a Theurgist. The Thule is no more. The Owlbear, probably the derpiest looking Owlbear. I much prefer the David Sutherland Owlbear in the Monster Manual. Although the best Owlbear illustration of all time, hands down, is the one done by Jim Rosseloff, God rest his soul, in B2 Keep on the Borderlands. Love that. That is such an evocative piece. The worked stone dungeon, the halfling, human, and elf attacking the thing. Just, I love every single thing about that Rosseloff illustration, and you know the one that I'm talking about. I've never seen a great looking ghoul. And that's it. More Dungeons and Dragons material appears in each issue of the information magazine, The Strategic Review. Number 1 contains solo dungeon adventures, creature feature, the Mind Flayer. Number 2 contains Rangers. Now I read that in the Lord of the Rings. Can the referee have Aragorn in the game? A new D&D class, creature feature, the Roper. Questions most frequently asked about D&D. Number 3 is the monster issue with over a dozen new monsters for D&D. I've got to go back to the hobby shop. Send $1.50 for 4 issues to Tactical Studies Rules, 542 Sage Street, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, 53147. Oh man, I have got to go back to the hobby shop and see if they've got these, because they sound awesome. And when I get them, I will come back on Public Access TV and tell you guys all about them. Of course it has a small head. That's apart from an owl. Boo. Here's the Bugbear Ghoul and Friends. I love that illustration of jack-o'-lantern headed bugbear. Oh, more rules. Oh, these are other games. Cavaliers and Roundheads, English Civil War, Dungeons and Dragons. I got that. Greyhawk Supplement 1. Well, I own a copy of that. Warriors of Mars, The Warfare of Barsoom in miniature. Oh, I need to pick up. Well, I'll wait. I'll get that one like next month or something. I'm sure it'll be on the shelf forever, right? Star Probe. Oh, a space one. Chainmail. I got a copy of Chainmail. I got to figure that out. Tractics. Rules for World War II miniatures. There's a guy in the group that might be interested in that. Mike might be interested in Tractics. Panzer Warfare. More World War II miniatures. Boot Hill. Rules for man-to-man action of the Wild West. Coming soon. Well, I got their weird dice set for $2.50. That about broke the bank that week, I'll tell you what. Miniature figures, a complete line of Scrooby miniatures, including fantasy figures and NO gauge, comparable to 15 millimeter, minimum order, $10. Do these people think I'm made of money? That is exactly why we have pumpkin-headed bugbears. That is exactly precisely how it went down. And for a little while, at the Dungeon Hobby Shop, you could buy jack-o'-lantern-headed bugbears. TSR pays all postage for orders under $25. Now, isn't that a flip? How many websites do you go to today that are like, order more than $50 and we'll do postage for free? So, man, this Greyhawk book, I mean, ignoring the shopping that I now got to do, and I got to get the Strategic Review magazine, man. That's wild. Yeah, no, this Greyhawk book is far out. Now, back in the day, I mean, it's kind of like how it is now. The miniature sizes are just kind of all over the place. Like Airfix 172 scale Robin Hood and His Merry Men set, which you can find sometimes on Amazon. It pops up. I don't know if it's new old stock or if somebody's still stamping it out under the Airfix brand name. But those were halflings. They used those as halflings when they would play chainmail. And they paid for long distance phone calls. Very true. So that's Greyhawk, guys. That's supplement 1. And I hope you guys like the exploration. Next up, you know what we're going to talk about next, right? We're going to do a similar deep dive into supplement 2, Blackmore. And you're going to see why it's kind of the anchovies on pizza for a lot of OD&D players, because it's a little different. It's a little different. Oh my gosh. Becoming like the Nick Rekieta of tabletop streams here. But I wanted to thank everybody for stopping by the stream tonight. Before though, let me get over here. Let me get back to my control panel. Just gonna switch Acrobat off and come over here and whoops, there we go. Sorry about that. But right now, I want to take a minute because I want to thank some people. I want to thank Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru 1, 8 Mobius 8, Kevin Reynolds, Joseph Lucas, John David, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, Damien X247, and James F. Keck for being Patreons, for supporting me on Patreon. I want to thank you so much, because sitting here for sometimes more than 2 hours on a night, it's a lot of fun. But I appreciate all the help I can get. What's that you say? You didn't know I had a Patreon? Well, please, if you can. Whoops. Wrong one. Let me just pull that up real quick here. Where did it go? Full size bill instead of mini bill. Darn right. So yeah. If you want to show me some support on Patreon, that's awesome. If you don't, that's awesome too. Some PDFs of strategic review. Good stuff. It is very good stuff. Strategic Review 1 has the random dungeon generator that, again, made it into the Dungeon Master's Guide. I don't have a lot of truck with, well, Bob Bledsaw really wrote most of the Dungeon Master. I just get out. Just get out with that talk. But that is where we wrap up this evening, guys. Again, thank you all so much to the Patreons. I really appreciate it. Every little bit helps, you know. To everybody who just comes on and hangs out, look, whether you contribute to Patreon or you just hang out with the rest of us in the Peanut Gallery, it's all good. I have a good time, and I enjoy spending time with you guys. So thank you all very much, regardless. I will be back Monday. Monday, we are going to dive into Supplement 2 Blackmore and stack it on top of what we've already learned. And you know what comes after that? You know what comes after that. Eldritch Wizardry. Oh, yeah, the one with a naked chick on the front. You know what I'm talking about. So we'll wrap it up for there. I don't know that Monday nights will go that long. Sports ball. But it's the last sports ball should interfere. You want that digital convention. That's right. Subscribe to the channel. Click subscribe. Click that bell icon for notifications. And I think that just about does it for me for this Friday evening. Thank you, everyone who was here, of course. That's well, many of the people who are on the Patreon. But going down the list, we got Tally, thank you, Lord Corion, Vincent, 8 Mobius 8, Doomsword, and some new folks that I had not seen before. Vendor Clay too. You're a new guy. Everybody say hi to Vendor Clay. Chris, Awig. I know I'm going to miss somebody. I apologize in advance. Joseph Lucas. Redfield RE. I hope you stick around, Redfield. I think you'll find it a pretty good live stream. So, with all that said, guys, have a wonderful weekend. Take care, and I'll see you all on Monday. Be well. Peace.